Hi, this is part two of my message about communication, looping people in, making sure people are informed and consulted in the right times and the right places to make sure that the customer experience ends up being a positive one. So for those of you who listened to the first part, I was talking about the glitch list. I was talking about things that can go wrong in this time when, the new workplace processes and procedures are new, and then ways of getting goods and services out to the market, the way, the customer experience, it's all new because everyone's had to redesign a new way of being, a new way of work. So I was talking about the importance of the customer experience. I was talking about tracking the glitches that you're discovering in your processes so that you can go back and correct them. And I was really emphasizing the customer experience. And I believe that just about everybody in business, everybody who's, worth his or her weight in the business world knows that the customer experience is essential. Providing a good experience leads to customer loyalty, and we know that loyal customers, they're easier to handle. They take up less time, they refer more customers to you, they buy more, and they tend to buy the more valuable or the bigger investment products and services that you have to offer. So one of the often overlooked elements in creating a loyal customer and providing that customer experience that is going to bring the customers back time and time again is, believe it or not, employee engagement. When you have a highly engaged employee, when you have a workplace culture that fosters employee engagement, it leads directly to customer loyalty. Why is that? Why does that happen? It's because when an employee is engaged and they're happy to be at work and they're in a culture that's been designed and created specifically for the employee to feel supported, to feel safe, to feel like they're learning and growing, to feel that their work is meaningful and their contribution is valued. When an employee feels that, he passes that feeling of being happy at work directly to the customer. I'm sure you've noticed it time and again when you're dealing with an employee who hates his job or who hates her job, who thinks that their job is just this routine mundane thing that they have to get through. It impacts the customer experience. So the more you can think about employee engagement, the better time you'll have, the more easier time, the more successful time you'll have at creating loyal customers. So what does this have to do with the story I just told you about, the glitch list and trying to, purchase a vehicle when, the online part of the service and the in-person part of the service are not matching? So what do you think happens when a customer starts getting frustrated with the buying process? The customer gets grumpy. The customer gets demanding. The customer, wants to walk out. The customer is not smiling anymore. They're not being so pleasant to deal with. Now, not us, of course. We were pleasant every step of the way. However, the person who is dealing with the customers like that, who are confronted over and over again with glitches, the employee gets worn down by that. And the employee ends up putting up a big shield between himself or herself and the customer. The employee starts doing the absolute minimum to move this customer along, even to the point where, they can be completely disengaged from whether the customer purchases or not, or whether they come back or not. The employee just wants to get through the workday, get the paycheck, and go home. So while you're developing your glitch list, while you're developing your processes and your procedures to close those gaps, to bridge those gaps and provide the ultimate customer experience, to create that loyal customer who comes back again and again and brings his friends, what you're also doing is you are enhancing the employee experience, because a customer that's easier to deal with is more of a pleasure for the employee to deal with. So when you have highly engaged a highly engaged workforce. It translates directly to a loyal customer base. It also translates to a lower turnover. So we know, it's opening up a whole new can of worms, but we know that employee turnover costs companies a fortune. So when you're focusing on employee engagement, you're reducing turnover, you're reducing grumpy clients, and you're opening up a fantastic opportunity for attracting and retaining top talent and attracting and retaining the best clients out there. So I hope that this has given you something to think about. It's such a rich topic, and I can talk about it for hours and hours and hours. So how do you go about employee engagement and client retention? It's through culture strategy. Design and develop a culture strategy that attracts and retains top talent, where you can nurture employee engagement, so your employees are happy and they're alive at work, and they're willing and able and eager to take care of the customers because they support your purpose, they support the reason for their work, they feel great about it. And this comes from leadership. So great leaders can foster great cultures, and they do it on purpose. It doesn't happen by itself. A beautiful workplace culture happens when it's planned, it's designed, it's tended, and it's nurtured, just like a beautiful garden. A beautiful garden doesn't happen by itself. If you've ever looked at a garden, if you're a gardener, you know this yourself. If a garden is untended, if it's not planned, if it's not planted out properly, it's a mess. And you invest a lot of money and a lot of backbreaking labor and putting in fertilizer and good soil and beautiful plants, and if you leave it be, it's just going to go wild, and it's going to be easier to rip the whole thing out and start over again than it is to try to fix it. So I urge you to consider culture strategy as you would planting and tending a garden. If you want to harvest, then think culture strategy, think culture design, and nurture it. Tend that garden that you're building in your company. So that's it for part 2. I will see you next week. I would love to see your comments. For those of you who are not comfortable commenting in the public thread, by all means, send me a private message. Thanks, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.